progressive and entrepreneur.
We've raised the bar.
Learn firsthand from successful business owners and create your own path to success.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's time to hit the road to growth with team lead of the Enriquez Group, Realtor Vinny.
Hi, Real Truth listeners. Today I have Thomas, Ryan. Tom, Ryan, what's better, Thomas or Tom?
Tom, I go by Tom.
Okay, so Tom, Ryan, Bigly Sales, artificial intelligence. Oh man, this is just so up my alley. I'm so excited about today. There's so many. If you're a salesperson in this field right now, you don't have some sort of artificial intelligence playing out, you're gonna be obsolete fairly soon. So thank you, Tom, for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Vinny. I really appreciate it. And I love the intro to the show. That's great.
It's trying to get you a little excited, a little pumped up.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped already.
So walk us through. I mean, what does Bigly Sales do?
So Bigly Sales, we do AI solutions, and we also provide leads to businesses.
So is it, I mean, because I know we talked about before we got on mic was, I heard like I think it was TikTok, basically a cold call for artificial intelligence. Is yours mostly communicative? Is it more of basically artificial intelligence of like dissecting the leads online, or how does that work?
So right now, we have the ability to write emails using AI. So
Gotcha.
we can literally take a list of 100,000 people and have the AI create 100,000 unique emails that we send out. So if you're doing B2B stuff, it will actually we'll grab the person's slug of their company, and we can write a customized thing saying, hey, I saw your company online. I saw what you're doing. Here's why we have a great solution for your specific business. It looks like you took a half hour to write it, but it's actually the AI doing all the work, and everything is 100% personalized. We also have it set up for autoresponders for text and email. So we have a lot of automations on our platform, right? If someone signs up, if we're running, say, a Facebook ad campaign or a Google ad campaign, and someone comes and hits one of our landing pages and signs up or signs up via Facebook form, we can start automating out texts to them, a string of texts, a string of emails, and then anytime someone responds, the AI will actually respond back to them. So we can feed in all the information about your business, have that be the one source of truth. We're using Claude and ChatGPT on the back end. And basically, you'll have your business document, your 10, 20, 30 pages on exactly what you do, market trends, whatever. And it will be able to field any of those questions. So that can be used for sales. That can be used for support. And it will actually respond, and then we can give it a goal. So if the goal is to get someone on the phone with you, we can have it go back and forth with them a couple of times, then push them towards a phone call. Or if we want them to do a form fill, can go back and forth with them a couple of times and say, hey, why don't you fill out this link? Or, here's my Calendly, or, whatever we really want that goal to be, we can make it do. And where we're going, what we should have live in the first quarter is actual voice calls, to be able to have the AI field a phone call, fill out a form for you, really be that appointment setter for businesses that everyone kind of needs.
Our real estate team uses ChatGPT a lot for our descriptions now, right? For our real estate descriptions.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things that we usually do is we try to, like, when it spits us out like the verbiage, we try to say, okay, write this as a college kid or a high school kid, because the verbiage seems like it flows a little better and it seems like it's going to grab more of the attention. Is there like a age level that you feel gets a better response when you're doing the responses, or is that not a factor?
We usually say, write like you're talking to a child.
Okay. No, I mean, yeah, I'm curious.
We want it to be simple, easy to read, like the newspapers written for, I believe, a 4th grade level or an 8th grade level, something like that. Like all the newspapers. Like you don't want it to be hard to read or hard to understand. You're not trying to show off your vocabulary. You're trying to get a point across. So with the prompts, everyone's worried about the AI taking over, like Skynet, and the Terminator, and the Terminator robots are coming. I mean, we have to write, I think we have 47 rules on the back end to try to get it to, respond in a way that actually makes sense in the terms of a conversation.
Oh wow.
I mean, it's still in its infancy right now. But are you familiar with Moore's law?
I've heard it, but I'm not going to say I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
So for computers, the processing capacity doubles every 18 to 24
Oh,
months,
okay. Yeah.
right? Every year and a half, 2 years, processing doubles. Well,
Mm.
that's happening in AI, but it's happening every 3 to 6 months right now,
Yeah.
which means you say, okay, 5 years from now, it's 6 months. Well, we're 1,000 times more powerful. 10 years,
But
we're a million times more powerful.
I thought I was Micho. I forgot his name. He's astrophysicist or
The
something.
guy from NYU, I know who you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Okay. But
Written a bunch
so
of books.
I think he was saying that the cap's going to be the hardware though, right? And that's what they're working on right now.
Yeah, I
Quantum
mean they're
computers.
coming out with chips left and right
Yeah.
to do this stuff. So
Well, but would it be
NVIDIA.
quantum computers like that? That's going to basically allow us to take it to the next level for AI.
So I don't know from a hardware standpoint where the breakthrough is going to be.
Okay.
I know Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI,
Yeah.
is investing in a chip company where they think it's going to be 100 times as fast for the AI chips.
Wow. Okay.
So I mean they're working on this. There's going to be
Yeah.
so much money thrown at this in Silicon Valley. And the market cap in NVIDIA is sitting around $1 trillion right now. So there's enough money there for other players to come into the space.
Wow. Okay. Oh yeah. No, it's a intriguing avenue. Well, let's rewind a little bit. I mean, where did Tom get into this space? Were you always into like computers, like building websites, like building stuff, or what was where'd you come from?
So I have an unusual path here. I was in the staffing industry my whole life.
Oh,
And what we always had to do was do a lot of outreach to folks. And what I found moved the needle for my business was automating that outreach, being able to organize who you want to talk to and being able to reach out to them very quickly.
mhm,
And then, what I saw was you had to follow up with people a lot of times to get a sale,
mm,
right? A lot of folks, they called someone once or they'd send one email and they didn't hear back. And they're like, well, I guess they're not interested,
mm.
and that just doesn't work, right? People are so bombarded with information that if you're not touching someone 10, 20 times, um, they are not going to know who you are. They're not going to remember you. There's people are seeing hundreds or thousands of ads a day. So for you to stick out, they need to see you over and over and over. So anyway, we'd built software to be able to narrow down a database of a couple of million people and find the right 100 or 200 folks and reach out to those folks. And that was where all the success of the business came from.
Mm.
Everything else that we did was kind of secondary. So when I started Bigly, we built a sending platform. We built a platform that was able to send out the texts, that was able to send out the emails, that was able to segment your database, that was able to do the scheduling. And then when AI came along, this is a match made in heaven, right? That
Mm.
between the mass communications, the one-to-one communications, the scheduled communications, and then having AI be able to actually write these things and automate these messages and respond to these messages in real time, it can get rid of all the problems along the way.
So, how long was Bigley around before you started incorporating AI?
As soon as the APIs came out for ChatGPT, we were, the first one to use it outside of beta.
No,
The day it came
before
out
that.
outside of before ChatGPT,
Yeah, like how long were you around before actually artificial intelligence came about?
we
And then you,
launched July 2021.
okay, so you're fairly close to like right when it
Yeah,
right when it started. Okay.
absolutely. So what was nice is we got to build out all the other technology first, right? We built out the sending platform, the ability to do phone calls through there, the ability to do emails through there, having all of your data stored and collected in one place. That all of that was complete, and then the AI tech came along,
So did
and we pivoted at that point to say this is going to be the direction that we're going because this is the future of sales.
were you on the sales side then before you started Bigley? Were you working for a company doing sales, or were you still doing uh like data entry and things like that, where it was kind of
No, I
built
mean,
as
so I had my staff in business where we did 10 or $15 million every year doing specialized staffing, and I sat on the board of a locum tenens business, which was doing about a 250 million sales every year. for locums and nurse practitioners and things like that, high-end doctors. And, so my background was always in business operations.
And the idea of Bigly, was that more of, okay, I'm working with these people already. This is what their problem is. I'm going to start a company to basically help these entities.
Yeah, it was basically, this is every company's problem, right?
Yeah.
Once you get above 5 or 10 salespeople, um, there's a lot of studies on this, but you need to answer leads within a few minutes,
Yeah.
or literally time to lead. If your time to lead is more than an hour, I mean, it's not quite throw it in the trash, but literally the appointment rate, the answer rate, the deals done, the percentages drop by the minute.
Yeah.
So someone fills out a form, you should be getting to that form, in 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and the only way to do that's automation.
I know I'm jumping back on this a lot, because I mean, I always find it intriguing, especially when COVID happened. Some people basically kind of sat with their hands in their pocket, and other people basically found opportunities out there, right? So 2021, a year after kind of, I guess, COVID kind of really happened right there, was that any kind of catalyst to get you to start Bigly, or was that just kind of happenstance?
So I started the company after COVID, right?
Yeah.
I launched the business after COVID.
Yeah.
Um,
But there was no
so-
correlation. Nothing that was like, okay, I'm leaving this other company because our sales are going down because COVID's happening, and now I got to start something new.
I can't say there was no correlation.
Okay.
Certainly COVID threw a monkey wrench into the other business that I was in. I mean, COVID threw a monkey wrench into everything.
Yeah.
It was just, it screwed up supply chains so much. Suddenly you couldn't get products delivered. Some companies shut down totally. Some companies' sales fell 80 or 90% overnight. I mean, it was crazy. I don't think any of us have ever seen anything like that, and hopefully we never see it again. So yeah, I mean, obviously COVID affected it, but it was something that I've been kicking around for a while. I said, I think this is something that could help every small business automating these functions. I looked around. I didn't see many products out there in the marketplace like that. HubSpot was kind of along those lines. HubSpot does a pretty good job with this stuff, but they didn't integrate phone calls at the time. They really didn't integrate text messages at the time. So I wanted all your communications on one platform, and I wanted everything automated. And, frankly, the way that they price these things just didn't make a lot of sense for small businesses. And then I've changed my business model probably about 10 times since we launched. So
what did you find? I mean, because having a lot of business owners on here, the subscription-based model seems like it's the best way to go by far, even if it's a lower amount, subscription-based, because you can always kind of plan for next month, next year, and kind of expansion. I mean, was that a factor into what you changed, or was it more of a number-based or tier?
Yeah. So no, these are great questions. Great questions. I started out doing a pay-per usage model, and it was exactly that you were talking about. People would use it, and they would use it a lot, and then they wouldn't use it for a month or two, and then they'd come back and they'd use the platform again. And then we started seeing all the different issues with it. Someone would use the platform, and they would get a bunch of responses, and then they would forget about it for a week, and they wouldn't come back in. And again, we're talking time to lead of minutes or hours. If you're talking, hey, I responded to this lead a week later, the person who did that, they're not even going to remember it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, yo, you called us a week or two ago. So, well, why didn't you call me back a week or two ago? Right. So, we would see all the issues with it. Like, hey, you had like 17 missed calls and 45 text messages and 20 emails that you haven't responded to. You're not going to get good results doing things this way. So we would try to do a lot of education with folks. But what we found the small businesses wanted wasn't software. They want a solution. Right. So where we moved is they didn't want software to help them do sales. They wanted a lead that was coming in the door. So we moved from a model that was pay to use a platform to a model that is we'll send you a lead. It's going to be X dollars, right? And it totally depends on the industry. Maybe it's $500, maybe it's $100. We'll send you a hot lead of someone who is interested in your service, and you can get it as a form. You can get it as your phone just rings, right? If your phone's ringing, you got to have someone there to pick up the phone when that's happening, or you got to tell us the hours that you're going to be there. And we moved to that model on the lead side because that's really what everyone wants. That's the model that is taking over. I don't know the exact growth rate of this model, but it's, pretty high double digits, right? It's, this model is expanding 30, 40, 50% a year. That more and more businesses are going to the pay performance model. You send me a lead and I pay you for that lead.
Yeah. Well,
so that
a lot of salespeople are getting lazier and lazier. So yeah, it's easier that way, just to take that lead instead of maintaining it yourself. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and with the new TCPA changes that went into effect, you're going to have to start everything with an advertising base, unless you have those people in your database already. The buying data is going to be very difficult going forward.
Yeah,
that's going to affect everyone.
Well, yeah, I think they're for like spamming. I mean, some of the new cell phones, right? It goes straight to voicemail now if they perceive it to be spam, and yeah, the lawsuit. No, I totally agree. So is most of your stuff cleaning up someone's database where they give you the database and then you kind of work your way through it, or other ones through like SEO, then like you're talking about?
Yeah. So the real issue is we want to make sure that someone's TCPA compliant. Yeah. So we had a bunch of people who were telling us they were TCPA compliant and they weren't, and we kind of booted them all off our platform.
Gotcha.
We said, you can't use this anymore. So we just had to do that to protect the business. So if someone has, ethically sourced leads that they have gotten in the right way, the AI is magic with it. Text messages are wildly effective. The AI is wildly effective. If you're buying lists cold, I can tell within about an hour of the first send. You'll see a huge bounce rate. You'll see a lot of very nasty responses. People swearing at you. How the hell do you get my number? Go kill yourself. Stuff like that. Versus something where someone's on a list that they signed up for and they're like, oh, I'm not really interested anymore. Thanks for your time. Right. Or please unsubscribe me. It's a very different, so you can tell immediately if it's a bot list versus, something that was created the right way. And I don't know if you heard about this, but they actually voted to change the rules about 2 days last week. It was like Wednesday or Thursday last week.
If you're listening on the podcast, well, this is middle of December right now, so just FYI, we might be out like a little bit later after that. But sorry, what were you saying, Tom?
And these haven't even gone into effect yet, but at some point next year, and I think everyone's still working through the exact ramifications of this, but it used to be that someone fills out a form and they can, you can call that person, and then they would basically transfer that to data partners, to other people that they'd set up. They would have, in their documentation, the terms and conditions that no one ever reads, right? They would say, oh, we can provide your lead to other data partners. And someone would say, okay, we'll pay you $5 for that lead. And then it would go down a daisy chain, right? And, so you'd sign up for one thing and then you'd be getting called for 50 other things for the next year. And they've basically outlawed that. So number one, you should probably buy Facebook stock. Right. But the big change in this is it's going to force everyone to either buy leads that have been ethically sourced, or, that you can either buy them or you're going to have to run your own ads, is what it comes down to. They're going to, I don't know who wrote these rules. The social media companies probably had something to do with this, but people don't want to get a lot of spam messages. They just don't. So they're trying to get the spam off all the networks. The phone companies put in 10DLC recently and have really actually started doing the enforcement on 10DLC, where everyone has to register their numbers for campaigns. They've just changed this rule where now you can't buy leads, because it used to be that someone could have in their terms and conditions, basically, I can sell your lead to someone else. And
Yeah.
then they would sell it, and that person would sell it, and and they would get calls from 100 different people for the next year, and it was technically TCPA compliant, but it wasn't the intent of how it was set up. And they have just changed the rules on this, where now it's going to be much harder to basically, if I am buying the lead, I'm the only one who can use it. I can't give it to someone else.
Yeah, I know, so I'm with Keller Williams, and I know they're gonna have a big talk next couple months about advising their clients to focus on geofarming, focusing on psychological farming, where you focus on someone's basically wants and needs, like if they're into like basketball or soccer or things like that. So it's less calling. We'll see, but it's constantly changing, and you got to try to adapt. But yeah, AI is for sure the way to go. When you're building this brand, what has been kind of the biggest struggle of focus, and what's been some of the kind of the biggest hindrance? Because I know for ChatGPT, when that first came out, I was telling people about it, and they're just like, what are you talking about? Like they had no idea of it. And then of course now I think it's everyone, or most people, are aware of it. But what was the biggest hurdle for you?
I had so many different hurdles. I don't even know where to start with that one. There was technical. So I'm not an engineer by trade. So even though I was doing staffing for engineers, actually hiring guys on the team and managing those guys on the team and how to run those guys is a different set of challenges. So from a technical standpoint, getting my team built out correctly was a challenge. Making sure the software was working correctly is a challenge. Making sure the QA is a challenge. Figuring out the business model that worked was a challenge. I had so many different. I've literally changed my pricing model like 10 different times in the last year.
Was it trial and error? Did you have a coach? Did you have a mentor? What was it?
So I'm big on testing.
Okay.
And we do this with everything. And what I mean by that is we can try different pricing models. All right, we can try different areas to see what works. So we test everything. Right now, we've gone from doing a lot of outreach, direct, to doing a lot of paid ads, and we're having tremendous amount of success with paid ads. But like everything else, there is a huge learning curve. And if you just put out a video and you think, well, I put out a video, I'm probably going to do great now. That's just not how it's going to work. I can get into what's working for us on the videos if you want, but and there's a lot of charlatans out there with all this stuff, with the, on the SEO side, on the, paid ad side, on the development side. There's a lot of people who talk a pretty good game, but when push comes to shove, they can't do anything. No.
There's so many different coaches, SEO advisors, and I've had some of these people on this platform, and I've listened to them talk and just going, oh gosh. But no, I hear it. The proof's, I guess, in the pudding, right? They're not going to know until they actually can kind of see how, I guess, your platform works. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that, like, I know a couple years back, I was looking at like different real estate coaches, and I was like, if this person can't sell me on their company, how are they going to teach me how to sell to someone else? Right. And so it's the same thing here, right? Like, if they can see your AI, right, that's working out there and getting their attention, well, they're probably going to pay for your services, I would think.
Yeah, and I'm not huge on coaches.
Yeah.
Not that there isn't some value in coaches, and maybe you can get a great coach who really knows this stuff. And I love hiring experts, but boy, they better show me something really impressive.
Give it value,
yeah. So I know we went to an AI conference the other day, and the guys running it, it was pretty clear that they didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So I sent one of my guys who used to work at Google, who's a consultant on my team, over to the conference, and he was there, and he's like, Tom, these guys have no idea what they're talking about. They haven't heard of 2/3 of the tools. They're basically just showing people how to write prompts that, you could play around with it for 10 minutes and figure this out on your own. And they're charging guys thousands of dollars to show them a prompt they wrote.
Huh? No, I agree totally. I mean, it feels like there's an abundance of coaches out there, and you unless they're bringing some level of value, or they've been down that pathway, which with AI, no one's really been down that pathway fully yet, right? But maybe they built a business or something that's going to give you that added value, like you're talking about. But it's in this, like, you're basically a pioneer right now, right?
And that's why we changed the lead model that we did, right? So why we're selling leads to folks, and it's not here's a list, here's this, here's that, but actual leads.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of folks have gone and they've signed up with a marketing agency and they didn't get any value from it. So
Yeah.
they spent 10, 20, 30 grand, and they said, okay, I've spent $20,000. I signed up 2 clients and I got $1,000 of sales. So I'm negative $19,000 right now. And they've been burnt so many times. They're at a place where it's like, hey, show me that you can actually do this. So everything we do when I'm talking about testing is you run small tests on everything to see if it works. And then you iterate off of those small tests. So for me to set up a Facebook ad campaign, we can set up a campaign. We can do it for $10 a day. We can test a creative. And at the end of 2 weeks, we say, okay, we've spent $140. And what's our cost per lead, right? Do we have any leads? How many leads have we gotten? And, typically what I'm looking for is we want leads coming in, as cheap as humanly possible. And then they have to actually be quality leads. So, there's a lot of pitfalls there. Are the guys actually the real people that you want for your business? Are they in your market? Are they the right type of people? And then you actually have to follow that all the way down the chain and see if they convert. And then are there other areas on there where there's a problem? So if that lead came in and then no one calls that lead for, again, let's say 3 days, your conversion rate is going to be terrible. It's if you're doing this stuff, you want to set up the automation. So we know that there's a lot of things that have to go into this. What I'm doing with the AI right now is using it to replace appointment setters, to actually book people into appointments, to make sure that the follow-ups are automated, and eventually maybe even replace the entire sales call, but to, get them where the AI does all the legwork for you on the front end. And now you have an interested prospect, and now you have to get on the phone with someone that is pre-qualified, that, checks all your boxes. So let's say we're doing this for realtors. We're not doing it for realtors right now, but we might start. We have a lead that comes in. We want to make sure, hey, does the person have the money? The down payment's going to be 50 grand on the house. Do they have the $50,000? Right? Do they have everything that they need? Are they in your market? Right? And then we would send that person over to you, set the appointment, and do all the automated reminders to make sure they actually show up.
How long? I mean, because you've talked about it a couple times, right? Where you try it out, see if it works, make the calibrations, and then try it again. I mean, in your estimation, how long does it take to calibrate something so you're on the right path, or is there a kind of set time frame that you've seen that works best?
The faster you can do it, the better. So I think what a lot of guys do is they try something and they say, okay, I'm going to try it, and they don't change it at all. Right? They say, okay, we're going to try doing something on Google, right? And they put it out there, and they're not getting the results they want, or it's too expensive. And they say, I tried it and it didn't work. Right? That's not how it works. This is like, I'm going to go play basketball for the first time. I used to play basketball in high school, and I took 10 shots and I didn't hit them. And I said, I'm no good at basketball. I'm out of here. Right? That's just not how life works. You have to put in your reps on this. This is like going to the gym. You're not going to be strong after your first day in the gym. You're not going to go to the gym, lift weights one time, and come back the next day and expect to bench 225. So it's the exact same thing. It's what are your processes, looking at the processes, and tweaking those processes until you have it right. Where are things falling on every step of the chain? So it's, and I like I like numbers. I'm a numbers guy. I like managing by numbers. I want to know, literally every step of the process, what is happening with those numbers so you can manage the things properly. And the AI, why it's so powerful is it just allows you to do things at scale that you can never do with an individual.
I had oh man, I'm gonna butcher the first company's name. I won't even try it, but they had a artificial intelligence company that basically would dissect a salesperson's call. So it was actually a checklist. So while the person's talking, it would give them a ranking at the end of the conversation. I mean, do you do anything like that to kind of keep accountability on your salespeople?
No, I mean, what we're doing is, we're using it to book appointments, right? So someone responds, "Hey, I'm interested." Great, and the AI will respond for whatever it is. Great, you're interested. If it's something simple, they filled out a form. "Hey, I'm interested."
Yeah.
Great, what's your
Yeah.
availability to set up a meeting? "Oh, I'm available next week." So the problem isn't when the person responds right away. The problem is when the person goes dark. Right.
Yeah.
So guys filled out a form. He was probably interested. Right. Maybe it's 2 a.m. where he is, right? He's, woke up and he used the bathroom and he got on his phone and he did it. And then, then he goes back to bed. Right. So the next day he's going off to work and now you're trying to reach the person. You can't reach him. So to automate the follow-ups, right? To automate text messages, to automate emails out to that person. And then once they actually respond back, to be able to field their questions, to be able to answer their questions, to be able to handle any objections they have, to then get them to book that appointment that you want. And why you need this is, say on average, you need to reach out to a person 10 times to book them. Some guys book right away,
Yeah.
and you could just throw out every lead that doesn't book right away, but then your cost per lead is going to go through the roof. So, you really need to be doing follow-up in sales. And if you're getting in 50 leads a day and you got to follow up with all of those leads, 10 times, right? Now you're 500 follow-ups per day. And if you say, okay, I'm working 20 days a month, right? Now there's 10,000 follow-ups. And if you're an individual or it's like 2 of you or 3 of you, 10,000 follow-ups is, close to impossible. Certainly on the phone, it's impossible. Right. So it's not that people are lazy. It's just in order to get these things, there's more work that goes into it than you can possibly do on your own if you're a small business. So, setting up those automations for people is so important. And we know that most small businesses just don't know how to do this stuff. That, you're not an engineer. You're not great with tools generally. I'm going to generalize now. Some people might say, "Hey, I'm great with everything. I do this all myself and I love it." But that's not 98% of the salespeople out there, not 98% of the small business owners out there. So, we automate that process for them.
Before I forget, if someone's listening and they're looking to see if you do their market, what's the best way of them getting more information about Bickley Sales?
I can tell you, outside of just a pure AI solution to their own database, we've stopped accepting clients right now outside of home services.
Okay.
Home services is our primary niche that we're in right now, and I just don't have time for it. We have too much business.
Gotcha.
Which high quality problem right now. But
do you plan to open it up in the future?
Yeah. We're going to be opening up more verticals in the future, but right now we're just focused on things around the home, high tech items.
So if for them to just stay in tune, because I know on your Instagram at least, and I'm assuming some other platforms, you put a lot of content out there. Is that probably the best way just to see if another vertical is going to open in the future?
Yeah, or reach out to us. Reach out, and we're happy to keep in touch. And we automate all the stuff anyway. So as soon as someone fills out our form, they're in our system, and we'll be reaching out to them over the years. Right.
Go in the show notes. We have all their information in there. I wanted to finish it off with this question, Tom, and I appreciate so much for you being here. Where do you see artificial intelligence going in the future? Where do you see Bickley Sales? I know you already talked about basically the chips that are being kind of manufactured or I guess being developed. But where do you see all this going in the future?
So why I brought up Moore's Law is with AI, everything is going to double every 3 to 6 months. Even if it's 9 months, it doesn't matter. That means exponential growth, and people have trouble understanding exponential growth. I have trouble understanding exponential growth. That this is going to be thousands or millions of times more powerful this decade.
Yeah.
Right? By 2030, we're talking tens of thousands, millions of times more powerful than today. So any of the technical issues, this is like someone who went on the internet in 1996 and they're like, I tried to download an image of a naked girl and it didn't work. So, no one's ever going to use the internet for looking at naked girls. Right? Obviously, that's not the way it played out. It's going to, I tried to shop and it didn't really work real well. So no one's going to shop online. Right? This is going to be the same thing, except it's going to be exponentially faster. From a sales perspective, I see the AI doing most of it. That the big companies are going to have it automated. There is so much room for improvement with customer service. There's so much room for improvement with sales, with response time to leads. That, from my standpoint, what we'll have this year, next year, 2024, 2025 is you'll have an AI that can use literally any voice, that will be able to answer any question, and is, I totally agree with what Sam Altman's saying. It's going to be more persuasive than a human. It's going to be able to answer questions better. It's going to be able to do anything. But where I see big picture, any task that is done on a computer, the AI is going to be able to do better than a human in the next couple of years.
Do you think there'll be regulations going in the future where it's something like, oh, anytime artificial intelligence is reaching out to a human, they have to notify the human that
they're going to do that, but it's going to be the de facto, right?
Gotcha.
It's going to be the standard. It's not going to be, hey, you got to know it. It's going to be everything is going to be artificial intelligence. You're calling Comcast, it's going to be AI. You're calling AT&T, it's going to be AI. You're calling, right? Any company that you call, it's going to be AI, and they're probably going to do a better job than what you have right now. Because I can tell you, my experience when I call Comcast or AT&T are generally not that positive. Right?
I agree. I totally agree with you.
Any task people do on a computer, AI is going to do it better than you. If it doesn't do it better than you already, it will shortly. It can draw a drawing, better than a layperson right now in seconds. It can write an article better than I can write one in seconds. It can, do a lot of medical diagnoses better than a doctor, most of the time in seconds. Now, it might not be better than the absolute top expert in the field, if you're a luminary, but it's going to be better than 99% of the general population, pretty much every field already. And as we get faster chips, because that's really the limitation, like you said, is on the chips, it's just going to blow everyone away in very short order. I'm talking the next, probably in the next year. So that's where I see it going. What does that mean? It means that in person is going to be so much more valuable, right? Having actual relationships is going to be so much more valuable. Community is going to be more valuable. Shows like this are going to be more valuable. That the value is going to be in that in-person communication, because anything that's on a computer is going to be done by by AI.
Okay, okay. Now I honestly have just one more question.
Yeah,
this is final question. Okay, so I know you're not bringing on other verticals right now, and if people are curious, right? I know follow your Instagram, follow your platform. Is there another platform that you would say would probably be a good avenue? I know you didn't like that convention you went to, but a good avenue where people could listen to, go to hear up to date or things that are coming up in the AI space?
So I would look. I mean, for AI in general, I don't know. There's a ton of stuff out there on the internet. I would follow closely what OpenAI is doing. They are the absolute leaders in the field. I can tell you, AI and Claude are 1 and 2 for chatbots. Right? They're 1 and 2 for anything written. OpenAI has their Dolly product where, my daughter was using it. My 9-year-old daughter would talk into it. They have something called Whisper where you hit a button, you can speak to it. It understands exactly what you're saying. It's been trained with every podcast and every video that's ever been on the internet. And she would say, hey, do this image, because she's actually creating a children's book with me. and she would talk into it. It'll create an image. It's not as good as Midjourney yet, right? Midjourney, I think, is the best for images out there. But the leaders in the space that have tens of $billions behind them, I think those are going to be the winners. So I think OpenAI is an obvious winner. I think Claude is a winner. I still like Stable Diffusion for, I'm sorry, not Stable, Midjourney for anything that's created for artwork. For anything voice, I would check out 11 Labs. 11 Labs can clone any voice, can do any voice. You know, if you want to write a script to have Barack Obama do it, you go to 11 Labs and they can have Barack Obama write whatever you said. Or James Earl Jones or Elizabeth Hurley or whoever your favorite voice is, right? Trump, whatever. So the leaders in the space that are getting tens of billions of dollars thrown at them and already have the technology and already have the engineers on staff, I think they're going to keep pulling away.
Well, I appreciate it so much, Tom, for being here today. Hopefully everyone got some great nuggets right there. Just do yourself a favor. Again, go to their social media just to kind of watch their content out there. Great stuff right there. And again, if you're in the sales industry, you got to try to find something that has AI incorporated into your business that you can incorporate into your business. Because again, just like a website, I think Tom's point, right? If you didn't build a website back in the day, you probably were obsolete and learned you how to do it, fairly quick. So please subscribe, please share, go find Tom.
Yeah, this is coming about 10 times as fast as the internet did.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.